A faint murmuring escapes Oktai's lips. You hear,
"I must save the children."
And then, without warning, an invisible explosion of force emanates from the unconscious form of Oktai, knocking over the scales and religious texts on the communion table. The ethereal forms of demonic appendages violently burst forth from Oktai's unconscious body. They appear to be composed of translucent, smoky tongues of fire, as if aflame. They chaotically thrash around, smashing pews and ripping down paintings off the wall. Oktai's limp form is lifted from the floor and pulled around like a rag doll. One of the appendages grips onto Neris and wraps itself around her, squeezing her like a boa constrictor. Oktai stirs and slowly lifts his head to see what is happening. The disembodied voice of the demon Pazuzu can be heard echoing from the ether.
Your body is mine to control, you fool. You cannot resist me in this realm or the next. I will rend this church to rubble and take the life from this pathetic clergyman. But first, watch me swallow this little morsel whole.
A hellish form bursts from Oktai's chest, a gaping maw of teeth at the end snapping open and shut in rapid succession. It makes a direct path for you, Korgum. Oktai's eyes widen, and through gritted teeth grumbles, "No!" Both his hands grip onto the maw's stalk where it is spewing from his torso. You see his chest and arms swell as he clamps down on the stalk with all his might, his muscles convulsing. A visual echo of his form lags and then merges back into his physique. His muscles tearing and actively internally bleeding, Oktai bellows, "I am in control, monster!" And with a mighty effort, the mawed stalk pulls free from Oktai in a burst of smoky viscera. The maw lands on the floor with a thump, still twitching and snapping open and shut like a dying snake at Korgum's feet. The multitude of nightmarish arms go limp and fall to the floor of the church, dropping Oktai and Neris both. Neris falls to the floor, gasping for air. And then you see it. The other arms begin stirring again. Seeing this, Oktai swings his arms around in circles on either side of his body, gathering up the appendages until they are wrapped around his arms like the strands of a rope cord. He begins bringing his arms together towards his chest, his hands in tight fists, and the appendages begin pulling at his body. But then the maw shrieks in pain. It turns back towards Oktai and begins slithering like a snake as it makes a dying effort to attack its own source. Tears streak down Oktai's face as he grimaces in pain, but the appendages, one by one, begin tearing free from his body with wet, popping noises. As his arms cross in front of his chest, the last of them dislodge from his body, and Oktai falls forward, once again to the floor. All the limbs fade from existence like a morning mist in the sun. Oktai's body is patched with crimson and purple bruising, and blood oozes from his ear canals. His head slowly leans to its side on the floor, and you see that Oktai's eyes are fixed on you. In a low voice, you hear him call you, "Korgum."
Thank you. You are more than my friend. You are my tribesman.
And with that, his eyes close, and he lies still.